I appreciate the opportunity to be here this afternoon and acknowledge again the great work of a tremendous number of partners, as well as my team there at the Chesapeake Bay Program Office and across the watershed that contribute to making these analyses, bringing them to life, and allowing us to communicate them to you effectively at this time. So I'd like to continue on the contributions there from Rich and say by working together to manage our natural resources and decrease pollution across the region, the program partnership continues moving toward restoring the health of local waters and streams. Of course, since these waters are the Bay's lifelines, improving their health means improving Bay water quality health for the Bay. Through restoration activities, our partners work to reduce nutrients and sediments, improving habitats across our 64,000 square mile watershed. And through our partnership, we track changes in water quality through a network of monitoring stations, where we measure the flow of water and accompanying nutrients and sediments delivered downstream to the Bay. It can take many years to see the effects of water quality in our rivers and streams that can result from changes in our practices on the land. While if we put in new technology at a wastewater treatment plant, we can measure its success just about as fast as you can turn on the switch and grab a water sample and have it analyzed. But not all our management practices provide such an instant response. Bay Program states and partners monitor tributary health all year round. Our dedicated field teams collect water and take water quality measurements during storms as well as dry periods. Because our river flow in all conditions affects how much nutrient and sediment gets delivered to the bed, our assessments and our management actions must take this into account. We are fortunate that our partnership is invested in long-term water quality monitoring so that we can understand the status of water quality conditions, targeting areas for management activities, and can track changes that occur in response to our actions. In this report, our Bay Barometer, we show changes in nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment at 34 long-term monitoring stations, where a majority of the flow-adjusted trends have improving conditions in rivers and streams since the mid-1980s. With a 23-year record of measurements, we show 25 of 34 stations with improving or downward trends in the flow-adjusted nitrogen concentrations, significant to the Susquehanna, the Potomac, the James in particular, but we do have upward trends in the Choptank and the Pamunkey. Regarding phosphorus, another important nutrient when it comes to our algae and the water quality that we're dealing with and delivery down to the Bay, 22 of 34 sites showed improving trends, downward flow-adjusted trends in the phosphorus. These include the Patuxent, the Rappahannock, the James, while we see upward trends or declining, degrading conditions in places like the Choptank, the Pamunkey, and the Appomattox. Regarding sediments, those critical sediment that gets delivered to the Bay, assists in blocking out light to important SAV, for instance. We see 13 of 34 sites showing downward flow-adjusted trends in our suspended sediments. In particular, the Susquehanna, the Potomac, the Patuxent, and the Choptank had downward trends, upward trends, notably in the Pamunkey River. Changes on the landscape, including our partners' work with pollution reduction efforts, have reduced concentrations of nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment in our streams. Still, we appreciate that more work needs to be done. We haven't achieved our goals, and we still need work within our rivers and streams to reduce those nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediments to improve the health of the Bay. Healthy freshwater creeks, streams, and rivers provide healthy habitats to living resources, and clean local waterways and adjacent habitats we restore support a diversity of fish and wildlife. Like Bay Life, Rich talked about the crabs, fish needing those bugs down in the sediments, and it's no different. We're looking at these watershed systems, streams, rivers, creeks that have that same sort of food web. Many tiny creatures that live in the streams providing food to the fish, providing insects that hatch. You have bats and birds nesting using the riparian zone that feed off those creatures. We see food for crayfish that then feed our river otter populations, for example. And there's mussels that might feed the family of raccoons that now live in that restored riparian area. A rich food web depends on these healthy waters just like it does in the Bay. Again, our partners have used important investments in monitoring analysis to understand the condition of the tributaries in our watershed. And for data collected throughout the watershed, between 2000 and 2008. You see here that with a map showing over 10,000 sampling locations contributed by many of our partners, we've now accounted for, the Bay Barometer provides a status map reflecting the health of our freshwater streams. The results show 5,459 of those sites were in very poor condition. That's 52% of what you see here on the map, while 45%, a total of 4,656, were fair to good or excellent. 3% of the sampling locations at this time were still unable to be scored. Generally, streams in very poor to fair conditions are located in areas with high levels of pollution and little natural habitat. We see areas like the Washington, D.C., Baltimore corridor as being heavily affected. Mined areas, heavily farmed areas like portions of the Delmarva Peninsula. Streams that tend to be in good to excellent condition are in forested areas with ample natural habitat quite often and low levels of pollution like southwestern Pennsylvania and the mountains, or along the northern coastal plain. We see a nice concentrated region of green here in the southern Maryland area, along the Potomac River. By sustaining and improving the health of our local waterways and their surrounding habitats, we provide better conditions for migratory fish, but they rely on this linkage between tidal and non-tidal water quality and to maintain their populations. Through our restoration activities, we connect downstream rivers and wetlands to the upriver habitats, supporting corridors favorable to a diversity of wildlife. And we extend the relationships and the connection of our regional food web while improving water quality delivered to the bay, supporting improved health of bay habitats and their living resources.